Makakausap po natin ngayong gabi, isa po sa mga miyembro nitong Committee on Justice. I'd like to welcome again to our program si Congressman Terry Ridon. Magandang gabi po and thank you for joining us dito sa Facts First.
Magandang gabi. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita.
Oo, kasi mukhang naipit si Kong Terry sa traffic, no? Simulan na natin agad yung discussion natin. Okay, so sumagot na yung Vice President dito sa impeachment complaints. Sa pagsusuri ninyo, no? How would you characterize this response by the Vice President?
I think across the membership of the House Committee on Justice and the complainants endorsers themselves, no, I think we are considering the answer ad cautelam as a non-answer. No? So meron pong mga objections ang pangalawang Pangulo sa mismo impeachment proceedings. Sabi, it is a violation of her due process at wala daw pong ultimate facts, no, na binabanggit to po yung pong dalawang complaints po nito. But again, this entire process of allowing her to answer is the due process of that is being afforded to the Vice President. So wala pong katotohanan yung kanya pong complaint on due process. And secondly, dun po sa ultimate facts, I think I've reviewed the proceedings and all the complaints, no, and the documentation. Napabanggit ko doon lahat ng mga facts, ultimate facts relating to the misuse of confidential funds, relating po to the death threat against the President, the First Lady, and the former House Speaker. And thirdly, yung pong SALN and unexplained the wealth issues, no. So very voluminous, no, yung pong documentation and facts and evidence na pinag-usapan po natin sa tatlong bagay po nito. So even yung kanila pong complaint on the absence of ultimate facts, hindi po ito totoo.
Okay, so himay natin yung tatlong punto binanggit ng Vice President. No? Yung sabi niya, violation na kanyang due process, yung absence ng ultimate facts, and of course, she also mentioned yung so-called double standard dun sa pag-handle ng committee ninyo dun sa impeachment complaints against her versus the impeachment complaints against the President. Pero bago yun, no? You characterize this response as a non-response or non-reply. Anong implication nun dito sa proseso ng impeachment?
Well, ang answer po talaga ng impeachable officer or ng respondent, dapat po talaga ay tumutugon po ito point per point doon po sa mga allegations. No? So ibig sabihin, kailangan pong sagutin squarely, directly, yung pong usapin na misuse of confidential funds, yung usapin po ng death threat, no, against the President and all the other persons, at ito pong issues relating po to the SALN and the unexplained wealth. No? Ang laman lang po talaga ng kanilang 15-page answer ad cautelam ay basically general statements lamang po and legal argumentation relating po to the impeachment complaint. No? So that is not the standard that we are expecting from an answer on impeachment complaints. Kasi supposedly, dapat mailatag po ng answer yung mga depensa dito po sa mga binabanggit po ng mga aligasyon. No? So basically, by tomorrow, as soon as we talk about yung po mga updates ng impeachment process, we will consider that all the allegations have not been responded to adequately by the respondent.
So kung ganun, ano yung next step? I understand yung mga nasa likod ng third and fourth impeachment complaints, they waive their right to respond to this, di ba?
Tama po yun. So ang expectation mo natin, if there's a waiver of the right to reply by the complainants endorsers, ma-abbreviate pa ho further ito pong proseso ho natin. No? So ibig sabihin, wala na po yung mga periods to respond kasi na-waive na po ito. And kahit yung pong rejoinder, because there is no reply from the complainants, wala na rin po yun. So ang expectation natin tomorrow, we can proceed to a discussion of the sufficiency of grounds, no, of the impeachment complaints. No? So ang mapag-usapan po dyan, syempre, yung previous discussions na po on substance and yung pong linatag po ng pangalawang Pangulo na answer ad cautelam.
Okay, so kung pag-uusapan yung sufficiency in grounds, no, pwede ba mag-introduce yung Vice President doon sa phase na yan ng kanyang specific responses to the specific allegations?
Hindi na po kasi bukas po yung discussion po on sufficiency in grounds, no, ito po ay a deliberative process po ng House members lang. No, so syempre ultimately pwede yung magbigay pa rin ng submissions, no, yung pong kung sino mang kampo, and that will be considered of course, no, by the committee. Pero we will see po if there will be additional documentation that will be submitted by the parties.
So basically dito sa puntong ito, ang pagbabasihan nyo na lang itong sa tingin nyo hindi sinagot o nasagot ng mga allegations.
Tama po. And syempre, I think tomorrow there will be a clarification on yung binabanggit nga po na double standard po in the handling of the impeachment complaints of the President and the Vice President. Kasi I think it is clear that hindi ko pwedeng paghambingin ito pong dalawang bagay nito. Kasi doon po sa President's impeachment, yung pong documentation na pinag-usapan po natin doon ay puro mga news articles at unauthenticated documents, no? Katulad po ng video po ni former Congressman Zaldico. Yung pong documentation and evidence dito po sa Vice President's impeachment complaints, puro mga COA reports, congressional records, public records katulad po ng SALN ng Vice President at yung pong Madriaga affidavit, no? Na pag-uusapan din po ultimately ng atin pong komite as soon as we get to hearing proper.
Ang dating kasi sa akin ito, Congressman, parang ganito rin yung tenor ng kanyang reply doon sa naunang impeachment complaints against her last year, hindi ba? So kung ganon, hindi rin malayo na dumulog siya muli sa Korte Suprema. And if and when that happens, how do you think that could also affect the process at the House of Representatives?
Well, alam po ninyo, malayo naman po yung pangalawang Pangulo na mag-avail po ng whichever remedies, no? If she feels aggrieved sa proseso po ng impeachment po ng House of Representatives currently, malaya po siyang gawin yun. No? So, but again, the House will proceed with its mandate of impeachment proceedings kasi that is basically the sole province of the House. No? Hindi po yan poder ng Korte Suprema, hindi po yan poder ng Senado, na ang kanilang poder ay yung trial itself. No? So, I think yung pong interbranch respect will still be implemented by the Supreme Court for as long as talagang maipakita ho ng komite at ng Kongreso yung pong fairness and due process na pagkakalatag po in each and every stage of the proceeding.
Okay, yun naman technicality na hindi pwede magsampa ng higit sa isang impeachment complaint laban dun sa same impeachable official. Has that been sufficiently hurdled dito sa inyong komite? 'Di ba merong Feb 6 na binabanggit yung Supreme Court, 'di ba? Pero may ilang complainants na nag-file before Feb 6.
I think fully resolved na po yung bagay na yan. No? So, ito naman po, yung pong referral to the House Committee on Justice had occurred after Feb 6 eh. So, yun naman po yung most important reckoning date. And more importantly, yung pong Korte Suprema, nagbigay din po sila ng clarification through I think a video, na in fact, hindi nga Feb 6 yung new reckoning date. It is actually a bit earlier by a few weeks. No? So, yung pong referral to the House Committee on Justice, that falls within yung pong allowable period for a new impeachment complaint against the Vice President.
Okay. Etong sa yung ultimate facts, no, help us better understand this. No, sa mga sumusubaybay dito sa impeachment proceedings. Ano exactly yung pag sinabing ultimate facts, what needs to be established at this stage of the proceedings?
Well, una sa lahat, pag pinag-usapan natin halimbawa, yung impeachable offense ng betrayal of public trust. So kailangan mo ilatag doon, ano yung batayan mo para sinabi mo that the impeachable officer actually betrayed the public's trust, no? So, ang pagkakalatag po nun, ano yung facts to prove a betrayal of public trust? So, isang bagay po doon, yung misuse of confidential funds. No? So, susunod na po doon, yung paglalatag ng how was the misuse actually undertaken. No? So, yung mga series po ng mga ebidensya na maipapakita po doon, yung iba't iba na ho, yung COA reports, yung iba pa hong mga documentation, yung pong mga resibo, no, supposedly, na nakuha mula po doon sa implementation po ng confidential funds ng 2022. No? So, all of these things are basically sufficient to show na ultimate facts had actually been established in the course of the proceedings.
How about yung argument na hindi naman daw binibintang talaga or maliwanag na nilustay ng Vice President ito nga confidential funds at hindi pwedeng gamiting argument yung command responsibility?
Hindi yung totoo yun. Kasi ultimately nag-attest po yung pong mga heads of agencies, no, doon po sa paggamit po ng confidential funds. No? So, for example, yung po mga notices of disallowance, hindi lang po yung mga accountable officers na mga kawani, yung pong nakatali po ron, even yung heads of agencies, no, katulad po ng Vice President, nakatali po ron. And to be clear, yung po mga dinidinig pong mga kaso sa Sandigan Bayan, down the line po yun, from the highest officer sa isang ahensya hanggang sa pinakamababang mga kawani, no? Nakukulong po sa Sandigan Bayan over malversation, over misuse of funds. So most certainly, kung yung head of agency, matatali rin po dito po sa ganito pong mga kaso.
Lawakan ko lang yung konteksto nitong pinag-uusapan natin, Kong Terry, no? Kasi nadidinig ko rin ito, and I think one of your colleagues mentioned this argument na yung mga kongresista na gustong matanggal sa pwesto via impeachment yung Vice President, takot lang na balikan sila nitong Vice Presidente kung maging presidente na siya sa 2028. Dahil 1,000,000% daw, hindi mapapakiusapan ito. Anong tingin niyo? Anong basa niyo rin sa ganung argumento?
Well, alam po ninyo, dapat hindi i-conflate yung usapin po ng accountability measures for each and every high-level public official. No? So, ibig sabihin, kung kailangan panagutin yung pong mga tao relating to flood control corruption, infrastructure corruption, or whichever form of official corruption, dapat panagutin ho sila. And in the same manner, dapat panagutin din po yung mga high-level impeachable officers na talaga po nagkasala or nag-misuse po talaga ng pondo ng bayan. No? So, kumbaga, hindi yun dapat pagbanggain. Ang posisyon natin, lahat po yan, dapat pong panagutin. Kung meron pong umiiral at nakalatag pong mga ebidensya laban po sa kanilang lahat.
Yung Maleta story na ina-amplify ng kanya mga taga-suporta all over social media, how do you think this could affect the impeachment proceedings?
Tingin ko wala naman po masyadong epekto yung pong kwento ng Maleta. No? Kasi, again, yung pong affidavits themselves, no? Ba't po ng questionable parts yung pong affidavits themselves. No? So una, yung unang tanong ho doon, at ito po yung glaring, yung pagkakabanggit ho kay Congresswoman Laila De Lima. Bahagi daw po ng mga kongresista na nakatanggap po ng paper bag o maleta, when in fact, hindi pa ho siya kongresista noon. Pangalawa, may pagbanggit doon ng pangalan ni Paul Estrada na isa daw po sa mga EA ni Congressman Zaldico. Pero yung publicly available pictures ni Paul Estrada ay hindi po yun yung itsura niya. At pangatlo, at ito po yung pinagtatawanan ng mga netizens, no? Bakit daw po dun sa pagbibilang ng pera ay nakahawak daw po sa takip ng rice cooker. Yung po isa sa mga tagabilang ng pera. So, and ang feeling nila parang AI daw po, yung po litrato na yun. So, tatlo lamang po mga halimbawa yan doon sa mga problema nung sworn affidavit mismo. So, ibig sabihin, we have to take it with a grain of salt. No? Kung lehitimo ba o tama ba napakinggan. Ito pong kwento ng mga 18 Marines po nito.
But I think you would also agree that it's pretty obvious that there's a coordinated amplification of this Maleta narrative, hindi ba?
Well, I think there is, no? Pero again, yung kailangan pong i-surmount po talaga in terms of credibility nito pong 18 Marines po na ito, yung sworn affidavit itself. No? Kasi nga, pinirmahan ho nila yun eh. And they should have checked, and their lawyer should have checked na in each and every page, totoo, tama. Ito po lahat ng mga detalye na nabanggit po ron. Kasi for example, nag-clarify po yung abogado tungkol kay Congresswoman Laila De Lima na hindi pa siya congressman noon, pero nakatanggap pa rin daw siya ng maleta o ng paper bag o ng envelope. Pero touch mo po yan eh. Kasi syempre, ang pagkakalatag ho ng listahan in that affidavit, mga kongresista po na supposedly tumanggap mula sa iba't ibang mga lugar. So, they cannot go to the public and clarify na, ay, nagkamali kami sa bagay na yan at inatas namin yung particular na fact na yan, pero minemaintain namin na kumuha pa rin siya ng maleta or paper bag. It goes into the heart of their credibility moving forward.
Okay. Pag-usapan naman natin yung yung mga susunod na proseso dito. So yung susunod, sabi niya, determination ng sufficiency and grounds. What happens? Especially papunta na kayo sa inyong break eh. What happens next?
Yung pong determination of sufficiency and grounds, pag-usapan ho dyan, katulad na binanggit ko, yung pong napag-usapan on substance and the answer, so there will be a vote on it. After a vote on it, magpo-proceed na po doon sa hearing proper. No? So pag nag-proceed po sa hearing proper from tomorrow and for the next couple of weeks, expectation ho natin doon, magpapasabpina na ho ng lahat ng mga dokumento, lahat po ng mga witnesses, resource persons na nababanggit po sa mga complaints and nababanggit po in the course of all the proceedings.
Yung actual hearings, kailan magsisimula?
I think as soon as next 2 weeks, magkakaroon na po ng hearing proper. Pagkatapos po ng vote on sufficiency of grounds.
Kasi inisip ko masyadong masalimuot yan, no? And of course, the Vice President can always run to the Supreme Court. For instance, pag pinag-usapan ng kanyang bank accounts, diba? Darating ba talaga sa punto na mabubuksan yan? Para magkaalaman ako, meron siyang talagang mga unexplained wealth or may mga, yung allegation for instance, dati pa ni Senator Trillanes.
Yung po impeachment proceedings, meron po yung kapangyarihan na buksan po yung bank accounts ng lahat po ng mga napag-uusapan sa isang impeachment proceeding. No? So isa ho yan doon sa mga exceptions po ng bank secrecy law. So I'm quite sure meron po subpoena na may issue against the bank accounts of, the banks to look into the bank accounts of Vice President Sara Duterte, Attorney Mans Carpio, and all the other business interests po na nababanggit tuon po sa kanyang 2024 SALN. So yan po, that will be looked into by the committee. So yun yung una on with the banks. No? But secondly, also there will be a subpoena to the Anti-Money Laundering Council to check whether or not there are covert transactions, suspicious transactions relating to the Vice President, Attorney Carpio, and to all their other business interests that had been listed in the 2024 SALN.
Ano palang plano niyo dun sa dalawang miyembro ng kanyang legal team? would you push for their exclusion given the so-called conflict of interest that you mentioned a few days ago?
I think tomorrow there will be a discussion on it, and there will be a motion to reject their entry of appearance. And I want to explain it again. Na I think the committee is very much concerned, no, that the two lawyers will raise client confidentiality to avoid answering questions relating to their work in the Department of Education and in the Office of the Vice President. For context, for example, si Mr. Monsayak, no, Reynold Monsayak and Michael Poa, no, ito mga high level, these are not ordinary lawyers, these are high level officials in the OVP and the Department of Education. Si Mr. Monsayak, kasama ko siya doon sa mga binabanggit ni Yusek Gloria Mercado, no, to try to influence yung pong procurement process in the Department of Education. Nababanggit din po siya doon sa Madriaga affidavit. No. So I think hindi po pwede payagan ng komite na i-erase po ng mga abogado pong ito yung client confidentiality when asked about matters relating to their work.
Kanina narinig ko yung panayam ni Attorney Poa, no? Isa sa mga binanggit niya, he was disputing that, no? Yung position ninyo. Pero isa sa mga binanggit niya, dati naman daw nung humarap siya ron sa pagdinig ng House Committee on Good Government, hindi naman daw siya sumagot naman daw siya sa lahat ng mga tanong. So basically, you shouldn't have to worry about it daw. The so-called client lawyer privilege that might be invoked.
Well, we appreciate that candor, no, of Attorney Poa, but that was not an impeachment proceeding before. There were no entries of appearances that had been submitted by lawyers. No, they were invited solely as resource persons and witnesses in those proceedings. Ipang bagay na po ito. So, ibig sabihin, that would be good that they will still answer questions. No, pero syempre, we are not certain at this point whether they will still be answering the same questions when propounded to them, no, in the course of the impeachment proceeding. So magkaibang proseso po yon. Dati it was just a hearing in aid of legislation. This hearing is an impeachment against the impeachable official. So hopefully ganun pa rin ho yung magiging pagiging bukas, no, ni Attorney Poa when he gets invited to our proceedings. But again, I think the committee will still have to reject their entry as a defense counsel to the Vice President.
Okay, last couple of questions. I know it's quite inconvenient for you, no? Nasa sasakyan kayo, Kong Terry. Yung yung pinakaabangan ng marami, yung katotohanan doon sa Mary Grace Beatos, kailan ba magkakaroon ng bulat-datan ng detalye? Kung talagang kalokohan yung pinuntahan ng malaking bahagi ng confidential funds ng Vice Presidente.
Well, yung pong katotohanan naman po ng Mary Grace Beatos, na-prosecute na yan previously, no, in the Good Government Committee hearing. So, bubuin lang po ulit, no, ito pong mga kwento at testimonya sa bagay po nito. Kasi, for example, yung mga PSAs naman po relating to these names, andyan na po yan, that already exists. No? Kailangan lang po ipaliwanag kung paano ho ba ginamit talaga. At napunta ba talaga sa mga tao, supposedly na mga confidential agents, yung pong mga kapirahan po na pinag-uusapan. No? And marami po actually na mga additional na detalye. Kasi for example, yung pong Madriaga affidavit, nakatali po yan eh. Supposedly doon po sa paggamit po ng confidential funds. Ibig sabihin, noong po nakuha supposedly yung pera mula sa land bank, napunta na ho doon sa mga tao katulad ni Mr. Madriaga, yung pong mga kaperahan po na ito. So, yan po yung bagay that we will have to test as soon as we get into hearing proper. Kasi I think even our colleagues should be convinced that Mr. Madriaga is an actual, credible, and legitimate witness, no, dito sa bagay po na ito.
How likely will the House Committee take custody of him?
I think there is a motion for it, no? But we will have to coordinate with the court that has jurisdiction on him and with the BGMP that is his current detention facility. Pero syempre, we have to talk to Mr. Madriaga also kasi baka naman din ayaw niya pala na malipat ho yung kustodiya. No? So I think that's a continuing conversation that we need to have as soon as we get to hearing proper po.
Okay. Finally, kasi tinitingnan ko yung time frame nitong actual hearings, no? In the meantime kasi palala yung sitwasyon sa Iran conflict and pataas yung presyo ng gasolina. Sa buong mundo, specifically, of course, including the Philippines, darating yung point na talagang understandably, dun matutuon yung atensyon ng marami sa ating mga kababayan. How would you respond to that? Kunwari yung sabihin nila, teka, puro ka impeachment eh. Ang problema rito yung problema sa sikmura, yung pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina, ng pagkain, at sanga-sanga pang ibang problema bunso ditong Iran conflict.
Alam po rin kaya mag-undertake ng Kongreso ng accountability measures katulad ng impeachment kasabay yung pong economic relief measures. Katulad ng ginawa na po ng Kongreso, pass na po on third reading, yung pong removal of excise taxes on petroleum products. So, ibig sabihin, hindi ho totoo na meron hong pagbibigay ng bigat sa impeachment habang may nagaganap pong krisis sa presyo po ng langis. No? So, tinugunan po ito na magkasabay ng Kongreso over the course of 2 weeks. No? In fact, magkakaroon na po ng Bicameral Conference Committee on the suspension removal of excise taxes on petroleum products. So hopefully by next week, may salang na po ito for signature of the President.